Hello guys, I'm Rakshith from Team Let's Learn. We have Abhishek here with us, who will be conducting a mock interview for SCI. So Abhishek, can you introduce yourself?
Hi Rakshith, I am Abhishek Kumar, born and brought up in small city of Jharkhand, which is Jamshedpur, is my hometown. I did my mechanical engineering from National Institute of Science and Technology, Berhampur, Odisha, with an aggregate percentage of 76.5 and a CGPA of 8.08. I belong to a nucleus family, my father, mother, and a younger brother. My father is a businessman, he runs a travel agency. My mother is a homemaker, my brother is an intermediate. And I did my intermediate from Sri Krishna Public School in Shedpur, Jharkhand, and scored an aggregate percentage of 70. I did my intermediate from SR Public Senior Secondary School, Kota, Rajasthan, and scored an aggregate percentage of 80.80. So I was a working professional back 7 months. I was a extrusion engineer training. I was a machine operator in the company, Reflex Allen, which is an Italian company. So the reason being, leaving that job, I started preparing for merchant navy as well as gate. So I wanted to look for more opportunity as the opportunities in my company were not that big. So my strengths are I'm hardworking, a goal-oriented guy, and my hobbies are I like playing cricket and badminton. I'm a more an outdoor guy, so that's my introduction.
Okay. Okay, Abhishek, why do you want to specifically join Merchant Navy? Why not any other field?
So, reason being joining Merchant Navy is that Merchant Navy is a prestigious job. It provides financial stability. The experiences is very vast in case of Merchant Navy as it belongs to a core mechanical sector. Apart from that, my uncle, who's working with SCI for 9 years, I had a talk with him, talk about the pros and cons regarding the merchant navy. That you have to leave the family for like around 8 to 9 months. So I have looked at all the factors. So then I decided to go for the merchant navy.
Okay, that's a very good answer. So I guess we can move on to the technical part directly. So
Yeah.
can you tell me the types of pump?
So basically, the classification of pump is that there's a positive displacement pump and rotodynamic pump. In case of positive displacement pump, there is a reciprocating pump and and a rotary pump. In case of rotary pump, there is a main pump, a gear pump. In case of reciprocating pump, there is a diaphragm pump and single acting and double acting pump. In case of rotodynamic pump, there is a centrifugal pump and axial pumps.
Okay. And can you explain the working of centrifugal pump?
Hmm. So, centrifugal pump works on the principle of centrifugal force. It's a rotodynamic pump. So, what happens is on the suction side, initially the suction pressure is being created on the eye of the impeller. The water enters the centrifugal force. The area of cross section between the volute casing and the impeller is gradually increases. So, from the equation for continuity, we can talk about that if area increases, velocity decreases, and as the velocity decreases, by the Bernoulli's equation, the kinetic energy decreases and the pressure energy increases on the discharge side. So that's how discharge pressure is being created. So that's the explanation.
Do you know something about cavitation that is happening in
Yes.
pump?
Hmm. So, cavitation is the bubble formation on the impeller of the centrifugal pump, which cause an pitting effect. The reason being forming cavitation is that low suction head. So, to actually solve suction pressure, either we can increase the diameter of the suction pipe or increase the suction head.
Okay. And there is a term for that, right? Thing we use
Hmm.
to do to avoid cavitation.
Yes, it is called NPSH,
Yes.
net positive suction head. It consider of various factors like friction head, and other factors are being added in NPSH. So it is said to be that if NPSH required should be greater than NPSH calculated should be greater than NPSH required.
Okay. Calculated or available?
Available.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Available
Okay.
of that.
Okay. Okay. So let us move on to the VCR system. Can you explain that?
So, VCRS system is a vapor compression cycle. It is an integral part of a shipping ship actually. The explanation goes as initially the refrigerant we are going to use is 134A. Is a general refrigerant used all over the ships. So initially the pressure is lower and the temperature is lower is going to enter the compressor where isentropic compression take place. We get high pressure and high temperature superheated refrigerant vapor that's going to enter the condenser, which is an heat exchanger. Cold water flows in the condenser where isobaric heat rejection process takes place. It leaves the condenser where saturated liquid is available with a higher pressure and slightly lower temperature that going to enter the dryer, which consists of silica gel. The purpose is to remove the moisture from the refrigerant, and then it is going to enter the thermostatic expansion valve, which consists of capillary tubes, small tubes. So in that, the process is isenthalpic expansion. So the pressure decreases, the temperature also decreases. So and the mixture of refrigerant is 80% of liquid and 20% of vapor that's going to enter the evaporator where where the process is isobaric heat rejection takes place, heat absorption takes place that leaves the evaporator with an lower pressure and lower temperature vapor refrigerant. At the end, there is a sensible device which consists of the same refrigerant as the refrigerant flowing in the system. So its purpose is to maintain the check the moisture in the refrigerant so that it doesn't enter the compressor.
Okay. 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 That's a good explanation. And I don't think there is any need to express like 80 percentage liquid and 20 percentage vapor. Okay. Like there is no need to
Hmm.
give an exact figure anywhere here because it can
Yeah.
change. Okay. It
Correct.
actually
Hmm.
changes on basis. So like you said, if it detects moisture. So basically what happens is this refrigerant after leaving the evaporator should maintain a certain degree of superheat so that we can
Hmm.
make sure that there is no liquid refrigerant passing out of the evaporator. So that is the thing that the sensing bulb makes sure that there is a certain degree of superheat. Because when we say superheat, we can make sure that it is entirely vapor. At
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
superheat temperature, there won't be any liquid present. So that's the way we can make sure that there is no liquid refrigerant present after the evaporator. That's it. Okay, just so that you can understand it. Okay, can you tell me the types of boiler?
Yeah. So basically, there are two types of boiler: fire tube boiler and water tube boiler.
Okay, and the boiler mountings.
Mhm. So actually, I learned that boiler mounting. The boiler mounting. So the first is a safety valve. Second one is going to be seam shock valve. Third one is going to be the pressure gauge, and the fourth one is going to be the water level indicator. Fifth one is going to be the manhole. Sixth one is going to be the fusible plug. Seventh one is going to be the blow off cock, and the eighth one is going to be the feed eighth one is going to be scum ball.
Okay, and do you know the working of fusible plug?
Yes, yes. So basically, fusible plug consists of three fuses. It comprises of plug A, outer fuse, and the inner fuse, and a fusible material. So what happens is that as the water level lowers in the boiler, the the fusible plug get exposed to the higher temperature, and the melting point of the fusible plug is lower. So what happens is that it melts and fall into the combustion furnace. So it opens a passage to the steam chamber and the combustion chamber, and the steam actually present on the higher pressure enters the combustion chamber and blow off the fire.
Okay. Can you repeat the last statement?
Uh, so uh, the steam present on the higher pressure side, it actually enters the furnace and blow off the fire.
Okay. Actually, the water is the one which extinguishes. There will be some water, right?
Water.
Yeah, water. Not the
I
steam.
see.
I don't think the steam extinguishes the fire. I think it's the low water level, right? But there is still water. So this
Okay.
water will be the one which extinguishes the fire, according to me.
Okay.
Okay. So you may do your research on that, okay? Once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And boiler accessories.
Boiler accessory. So first one is going to be the superheater. Second one is going to be the economizer. Third one is going to be the preheater, air preheater. Fourth one is going to be feed water heater, and fifth one is going to be feed pump, and the seventh one is going to be the ejector.
Okay. Can you explain every one of those?
The superheater is actually air preheater. What happens is that air which is entering the combustion chamber is preheated in the air preheater. So this is the use of air preheater. Economizer is a heat exchanger. It actually heats up the water entering the boiler before, so that efficiency can be increased. Same goes with the superheater. Actually, superheater heats the vapor on the initial level, so that efficiency can be increased.
What does superheater do?
So superheater is also a heat exchanger.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know the exact actually superheater. It is actually the flue gases. It exchanges the heat with the water and converts into vapor.
No, actually the steam, which is the byproduct of this boiler, it
Hmm.
is heated even further to a superheated steam.
So the-
Okay, it's the after stage, not the before stage.
okay.
Okay,
I'll see that. Actually.
okay,
I have not gone with the
yeah,
all the process.
okay. Can you tell me the parts of IC engines?
Parts of IC engine.
Uh,
So
a petrol engine.
a petrol engine. So the first is a spark plug. Spark plug is cylinder head, then cylinder liner, piston, uh, uh, connecting rod, uh, gudgeon pin, crankshaft, crank casing, then oil pan, then there is a camshaft and rocker arm setup. Uh, that's all.
You could have said inlet and exhaust hole also.
Inlet and exhaust valve,
And further, even flywheel if you want.
slightly.
Okay. And okay, can you tell me the difference between two-stroke and four-stroke engine?
Mhm. So the first difference between a two-stroke and four-stroke is that in two-stroke, all the processes, combustion, suction, compression, expansion, and ejection, all the process takes place in one complete revolution of the flywheel
Okay,
or the crank.
okay,
In case of four-stroke, it takes two complete revolution or 720 degrees to complete all the processes. In case of two-stroke, every stroke has every one complete revolution has a power stroke, whereas in case of four-stroke, every two revolution has one power stroke. Therefore, in case of four-stroke, we use a bigger flywheel than compared to two-stroke. The size of the two-stroke engine is more than there is four-stroke engine. The power generated by the two-stroke engine, power or the torque generated by the two-stroke engine is more when compared to the four-stroke engine.
okay,
Hmm.
okay, okay, okay. Can you tell me the working of a turbocharger?
Working of the turbocharger. So, So initially, the flue gases which are coming out of the combustion chamber are collected into a chamber which have higher pressure and higher temperature. That higher pressure and higher temperature flue gas is passed through a pipe to a turbine, which rotates a turbine, which is again connected to a uh, centrifugal blower. So their centrifugal blower takes the atmospheric pressure and converts into a high pressure and high temperature gas. As we know that if the temperature is higher, the density is lower and the mass is lower. So what we do is we connect a air cooler before passing it to combustion chamber so that we can pass more mass of air inside the combustion chamber for proper scavenging. So that's on the process.
Okay, you said atmospheric
The
pressure.
tem-
During
at,
the blower side, you told we'll take the
hmm,
atmospheric pressure and convert it into higher pressure and higher temperature. You should like tell
yes,
we'll take the atmospheric air and,
atmospheric air.
and then convert it into higher pressure air and higher temperature air. You should
In
say
air cooler, the temperature is lower around 35 degrees to
yeah.
35 to 45 degrees of
Like
temperature.
I told, there is no
Hmm.
necessity to mention any exact values until they ask. Okay,
Okay.
because we are talking about a general one. There is
Hmm.
no necessity to talk about values. Okay,
Okay.
okay, okay. Can you tell me the parts of a ship?
The first one, the foremost part of the ship is the bow, which is the front side of the ship. The two sides of the ship, the right side is going to be the uh, starboard, and the left side is the port. The back side is stern, and there is a deck. There is an anchor. Then there is a zeel and hull. Then there is a propeller and rudder.
Okay, okay. And how does ship move?
So basically, ship move on the principle of third law of Newton. So basically, propeller is connected with the crankshaft on the direct basis, it produces a thrust force inside the sea, which pushes the sea in the opposite direction to the thrust force. So that's how ship moves.
Can you tell me Archimedes principle?
So Archimedes' principles state that if a body is floating or submerged in the fluid, it will experience a buoyant force in the upward direction, which is equals to the volume of fluid or the water displaced by that body.
Okay. Um, and all thermodynamic law.
Hmm. So basically, there are four thermodynamics laws: zeroth law, first law, second law, and third. So the zeroth law talks about if a body A is in thermodynamic equilibrium with the body C, and that body C is with thermodynamic with equilibrium with a body B, then A and B are also in thermodynamic equilibrium.
Okay.
So the first law talks about the conservation of the energy, that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only change form from one state to another. So it talks about delta Q, heat energy is equals to potential energy plus work done
Okay.
in a body or a system. Can say the second law talks about the entropy, as well as it talks about the two statements, the Kelvin Planck statement and the Clausius statement. Kelvin Planck's statement states that in a system, heat energy cannot be converted into 100% work done by any system. The Clausius statement state that it is impossible to transfer heat energy from a colder body to a hotter body without providing an external work done to that body.
Okay.
And the third law states that it is impossible to achieve absolute zero temperature.
Okay. Can you explain Newton's law of motion?
First law.
First law, second law, and third law.
So, Newton's first law states that if a body is in motion, it will remain in the state of motion unless and until an external force is applied on that body in the opposite direction of that motion.
Okay.
The second law talks about the momentum. It states that not remember actually.
Okay. Third law,
It's,
obviously, you'll remember.
uh, we can say that that momentum is equal to the product of
Actually,
mass and
it is told
work.
like the acceleration is directly proportional to the force applied and
Hmm.
inversely proportional to the mass.
Okay, I'll check that second.
Okay. Okay. Do you know Faraday's law?
No, actually,
Faraday's electronics Lenz law.
no.
Okay. Mm. Do you know the working of supercharger?
Supercharge.
Mm,
No.
okay. Okay. Can you tell me the difference between petrol and diesel engine?
Hmm. So, the difference between petrol and diesel engine is that the petrol uses spark plug, whereas diesel engine uses fuel injectors. Uh, then in petrol engine we uses gasoline as the fuel, whereas in diesel engine we uses compressed fuel. So in the third difference is going to be in petrol engine, it ignites when spark is provided, whereas in a diesel engine it is at auto ignition. It is an auto ignition process. The fourth one is going to be uh, petrol engine works on the principle of Otto cycle, whereas diesel engine works on the principle of diesel cycle. The We all know that the petrol engine are more thermal efficient than diesel engine.
Okay. You can
So
tell about
that's the
compression ratios also.
the compression ratio is more in case of diesel engine than petrol engine, which is around 16 to 20, and in case of compression ratio in petrol engine 8 to 10.
Okay. Can you tell me the parts of centrifugal pump?
Hmm. So, talking about the first part, it's bearing. So, the bearing is used to actually control the wobbling of the shaft. Then there is a lantern rings. It contains core to actually lowers the temperature of the shaft. As it is rotating at higher speed, it will produce heat. Then there is a lantern rings, gland packing to actually stop the flow of the fluid in the backward direction, actually, so that the fluid does not leak from the system. We use gland packing. Then there is an eye at which the suction head is created. Then there is an impeller with a backward vane. The reason being of using a backward vane as because the backward vane are more efficient because it will throw the water in radial direction. Then there is a volute casing. Then we have discharge valve. That's all part.
Okay. Okay. Mm, mm, can you explain the working of gear pump?
Gear pump. So, gear pump works on the gear pump is a positive displacement pump. It works on the principle of interlocking of the volume. Actually, interlocks the volume inside the gear pump and displaces the same amount of volume entering the system. So, the amount of volume of water enters the gear pump, it will the same amount of volume of water will leave the system. So, at the suction side, as the volume increases and the pressure decreases, it creates a suction head which makes the fluid to enter the gear pump. On the discharge side, it will follow a certain path. On the discharge side, the volume decreases and the pressure increases. The fluid will leave the gear pump as the discharge head is created.
Can you tell me the use of piston rings?
piston rings.
Yeah.
So piston ring comprises of two parts: the compression rings and the scraper rings. So the compression rings are actually used to separate the crank casing and the cylinder liner. So cylinder liner, so that the lube oil present in the crank casing does not enter, or the lube oil present on the cylinder liner does not enter, mix with each other.
Okay.
Then there is a scraper ring. Actually, scraper ring is used to remove the excess lubrication from the cylinder line. As I
Okay.
remember.
Okay. What is 1 ton of refrigeration? Give me the definition.
1 ton of refrigeration. Not remembering.
Okay.
I have to see that.
Okay. Should we? Okay. Tell me gas loss.
Yeah. So, so there are three laws: Boyle's law, Charles' law, and the Gale-Lussac law. So, Boyle's law talks about Boyle's law states that the temperature will remain constant in a system, and the pressure will be inversely proportional to the volume of that system. Where
Okay.
Charles law says that the pressure of the system will remain constant and the volume of the system is directly proportional to the temperature of the system. Whereas Gale-Lussac's law talks about the volume to be remain constant, and the pressure will be directly proportional to the temperature of the system.
Okay. Okay. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So next we'll go on to. Okay. Can you tell me the use of flywheel?
So, flywheel is a rotating body in the IC engine system. So its purpose is to store store the extra energy in form of rotation, so that it can be provided during the use of the system.
So can you tell me like an example of its working in terms of
Mhm.
IC engine?
What?
What happens?
Um, in case of four-stroke engine, when we talk about the flywheel, as we know that it produces one power stroke in the two revolution, so there will be a deficit of power in the next revolution. So what flywheel does, it stores the energy in form of rotation, which is again connected with the crankshaft. So it transfers the extra energy to the crankshaft when it is needed.
Okay. Can you tell me the working of a rocker arm?
Mm, okay. No, not.
Mm, I think we went through most of the questions that is there. Um, okay. Tell me the difference between uh, centrifugal pump and positive displacement pump.
Yeah. So, the difference between the pump is that centrifugal pump works on the principle of centrifugal force, whereas the positive displacement works on the principle of interlocking. Mhm. Apart from that, the volume displaced by the positive displacement pump remain constant, whereas in centrifugal pump, the volume is not constant. Uh, third difference is going to be that the pressure generated in positive displacement pump are more when compared to centrifugal pump. So if we require a high amount of flow, we go for the centrifugal pump. If we require the high amount of pressure or the discharge head, we go for the gear pump.
Yeah, okay. So I guess that's it for your mock interview. I have asked most of the things that is typically asked for a GME interview, and there are some things like even you know
Mm,
what you couldn't answer, and
mm.
I would suggest you to prepare on that. Otherwise, your communication is great, your introduction is great. I wish you all the best for your interview.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.